Look, Norman, it's our favourite. Cheese, tomato and leaves.
Kingsmill 50/50, sponsor of LK Today.
On today's show, Annie Lennox is here with a new single and album. Also find out why she's getting sisters to do it for themselves all over again. And fashion goes back to black, from designer to the high street. It's black with a sort of gothic even, inspiration. There we are. Also find out the cosmetic classics from Britain's top beauty editors. That's all those products worth buying and keeping and hanging on to. First though, Britain is in the grip of a serious cocaine epidemic. That's according to a recent United Nations report. In a moment, I'm going to be talking to former cocaine addict turned addiction therapist Sarah Graham. But first, here are some shocking facts.
A United Nations report puts Britain as the worst in Europe for cocaine and heroin use. Shockingly, it's estimated nearly 1 million Brits are regular cocaine users. That's 1 in every 45 adults. The number of addicts seeking help has risen by an astonishing 400% in the last 5 years. Worryingly, children as young as 9 are needing treatment for Class A drug addiction. Cocaine is becoming far more accessible, and street prices have halved in the last 10 years, dropping to as low as £30 a gram.
Well, Sarah Graham is here. Sarah, this is really worrying, isn't it?
Well, when you look at a VT package like that, yeah, I mean, the thing is, not everybody is using drugs. I mean, looking at the media, you can get the impression that all young people are using drugs, and that is not the reality. But certainly we are seeing an increase in the availability of cocaine, and the market price has dropped dramatically. And in some areas, as that says, you can get it for as little as £30 a gram. Previously, this drug was a sort of an exclusive drug, only afforded by very wealthy people and celebrities, and now that's not the case. And so in the treatment facility I work at in Surrey, we are seeing an increasingly young client base of people getting into really serious troubles in their early 20s.
And obviously, if children are getting hooked as young as, for goodness sake, 9, 10, 11, you know, primary school kids, if they get hooked on that, the damage that they're going to be doing to themselves is staggering to think about. Are you seeing children that young where you're working?
I work in an adult service at the moment, but
right.
I did work in Surrey young people service, and I used to go into the parks and hang out with young people and see what was going on out there. And you know, young people tend to hang out in mixed peer groups, so they're kind of younger children and older children. And of course, what the older children are doing, you know, influences how the younger children perceive.
For sure, and they all want to be in the gang, and it's all of that, isn't it? Peer pressure, exactly.
Peer pressure, yeah.
You've been there. You know what it's like. You've been through and come out the other end, which in a way makes you really good at your job, because you know what's going on. I mean, I couldn't go and pontificate because I don't know, but you do. How can you actually help these people? How can you rescue them?
I think it's really important that we do an education job first of all, and the reason why I do a lot of work with Frank, the drugs campaign, is so that there's a resource out there that young people can phone up or go on the website and get the facts about drugs, so that they know what's being offered to them. And I think that's really important, and parents can do that too.
Because that's the thing, we've got the helpline up there, and that's the trouble. When you don't have experience of drugs, or, you know, whether it's you've never had that experience, it's very difficult if you're then a parent to know what to look for, because how do you know? It's the signs. Are the signs just being stroppy teenager? Is it raging hormones, or is it something more sinister? You know, it's quite difficult. What should parents do, do you think? What advice would you give them?
I mean, there are certain things you can look out for, but as you said, you know, a lot of the kind of, in young people, a lot of the behaviour that you might look out for can just be hormones, or, you know, teenagers being teenagers. You know, but things like, you know, cocaine, although it's £30 a gram in some areas, that's still quite a lot of money for a young person.
Yes.
So if you see a young person suddenly spending a lot of money, or money going missing, if things are going missing from the house, if the young person is kind of sniffing a lot, or kind of their behaviour changes dramatically, mood swings, not wanting to get up, you know, there are some things that you can keep an eye out for. But you know, I don't want to panic parents. You know, it's important to get the facts, but realise that not all young people are going to do this. But if your young person does kind of mix in a group where cocaine is, you need to know what the facts are.
No, absolutely. It really is quite scary. You know, you do kind of think to yourself, Should you have that conversation with your kids? Do you think it's a good idea to actually have that conversation with them to make sure that the subject is out there so that they can come and talk to you about it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, communication is absolutely key. Young people need to know that they've got parents or they've got guardians that they can speak to, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And one of the reasons I go on the media quite a lot is because we're hearing all these stories about drugs on a daily basis, and a lot of it's misinformation. You know, the truth about drugs is very rarely spoken about. So it's really important that parents don't let other people, like the tabloids, educate their young people.
Yes.
They do it themselves.
No, exactly, and keep an open mind and keep talking to one another, because that's the main thing. Sarah, thank you very much indeed. It's great to see you, and I know we'll get a huge reaction to this, and I'm sure we'll see you again. Thank you very much indeed. And if you or somebody you know has problems with drugs, there's lots of help and advice on the website, of course, gm.tv. There we go.